The desert was quiet, as it always was at night. The wind blew softly over the sand, whispering like an old story. In the middle of that dry land stood a small workshop made from old metal parts and broken space junk. Inside it lived a young man named Ravi. Ravi was a simple mechanic. He fixed broken drones, old trucks, and sometimes cleaned up scrap that fell from orbit. His life was quiet, lonely, and slow. He didn't mind it, though. The stars above gave him peace. Every night, he would sit on the roof of his workshop and watch the sky. He liked thinking that something greater was out there. One night, as he sat with a cup of warm tea, something strange happened. A bright green light cut across the sky. It moved fast like a falling star, but then it changed direction. Falling. Stars didn't do that. The object crashed behind a hill with a loud boom, shaking the ground. A cloud of sand rose in the distance. Ravi stood up, eyes wide. That wasn't a meteor, he said to himself. Without wasting time, he grabbed his flashlight, some tools, and his desert jacket. He started his small desert bike and drove toward the crash. The night was dark, and the stars lit his path. As he reached the crash site, the sand was still hot and blackened. A small ship lay there, half buried in the dunes. It was round and silver with glowing blue lines on its surface. Smoke rose from the back where something had exploded. Ravi slowly walked closer. He had never seen anything like it. This wasn't human. The ship's door was slightly open, and strange lights blinked inside. Cautiously, Ravi peeked in. Inside, it was quiet. Panels sparked, and a soft humming sound filled the air. Then he saw her. A girl, no, not a human girl, lay on the floor, breathing weakly. Her skin was light blue, and her hair was silver-like moonlight. She wore a strange white suit with glowing dots on the arms. Her eyes were closed, and a small cut on her forehead bled purple. Ravi froze. His heart beat fast. She didn't look dangerous. She looked lost. He didn't know what to do, but he couldn't leave her there. He carefully stepped inside and checked her pulse. She was alive. "Can you hear me?" he asked softly. She opened her eyes a little. They glowed softly like stars. Her lips moved, but he couldn't understand the sounds she made. "It's okay," he said, trying to sound calm. "I'll help you." He lifted her gently, surprised by how light she was. She didn't resist. She just closed her eyes again. Resting her head against him, back at his workshop, Ravi laid her on a cot in his back room. He cleaned the cut on her head and wrapped it. She winced but didn't wake up. He placed a warm blanket over her and sat nearby, unsure of what he had just done. "An alien in my workshop," he whispered, staring at her in disbelief. He stayed awake most of the night, checking on her every hour. She breathed slowly, her chest rising and falling like a sleeping child. The desert was cold, but she seemed warm enough. Under the blanket, by morning, she opened her eyes again. Ravi offered her water. She took it with shaky hands and drank slowly. Then she looked at him, eyes full of questions. He smiled awkwardly. "I guess we can't talk, huh?" She tilted her head and made a sound, something soft and musical. He pointed to himself. "Ravi," she stared, then slowly touched her chest. "La," she said. "Tala." He repeated. She nodded. They had their names now. Over the next few days, Ravi kept her hidden from the world. No one came to visit him anyway, and the desert was far from any big city. He repaired parts of her ship when he could, but some of it was too advanced. During this time, Tala started exploring the workshop. She didn't speak much, but she watched everything. She was curious, especially about human tools and machines. Ravi showed her how he fixed engines. She showed him how to use one of her glowing tools. It could repair metal with light. They used simple signs and drawings to talk. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes they just laughed at their own confusion. One evening, after a long day of work, Ravi sat on the roof again, staring at the stars. Tella climbed up quietly and sat beside him. He looked at her and said, "So, do you come from up there?" She looked up and pointed to a bright star cluster. "That's far," Ravi said. She looked at him. "Far, home," she said slowly. He smiled. "Yeah, far from home." The wind picked up and it got cold. Ravi shivered, pulling his jacket tighter. Tilla moved a little closer. Then, without saying anything, she leaned her head on his shoulder. Ravi froze. His mind screamed, "She's an alien. This is strange. This isn't normal." But it felt peaceful. She didn't mean harm. She wasn't invading or hurting anyone. She just needed safety and maybe comfort. He let her stay close. As the stars moved slowly above them, Ravi realized something. The galaxy was big and full of unknowns, but in that quiet moment, sitting beside someone from another world, he didn't feel scared. He felt connected. Morning sunlight poured through the cracks in the workshop walls. Ravi opened his eyes slowly. He was still on the floor, resting near the small bed where Tila was sleeping. She had curled up under the blanket, her silver hair glowing softly. In the light, her chest rose and fell gently. She looked peaceful. Ravi rubbed his eyes and stood up. He stretched his arms, then walked to the small kitchen corner to make tea. His mind was full of questions. Who was she really? Why did she crash here? Would someone come looking for her? But one thing was clear: she was no threat. She needed help soon. Tella woke up and sat up slowly. Her eyes looked brighter today, and her body seemed stronger. "Good morning," Ravi said, handing her a warm cup of tea. Tella looked at the cup, sniffed it, and then took a small sip. Her eyes widened. She gave a soft sound that almost sounded like a laugh. Ravi smiled. "Glad you like it." He brought out a piece of bread and offered it to her. She took a bite, then nodded quickly. She liked that too. After breakfast, Ravi took her outside. The sun was bright and the sand shimmered under the heat. He showed her the desert, dry hills, old machines, and broken towers left from the old Earth wars. Tyla looked around with wonder. She touched the sand, picked up a small rock, and held it like it was a treasure. She looked up at the sky, blinking at the bright sun. "No two suns," she said suddenly. Ravi turned in surprise. "You speak?" "Little," she said carefully. "Learning from you." Ravi was amazed. She had been listening, trying to understand. She pointed to her head. "Memory tool. Broken, slow now," he understood. Something in her ship must have helped her learn fast, but it was damaged. Now she was learning like a child would, bit by bit, through sounds, words, and actions. He nodded. "It's okay. We'll figure it out." Later that day, Ravi brought her a small whiteboard and marker. He wrote words like water, food, sun, and sky, pointing at each thing as he spoke the word. Tilla copied the words and repeated them in her soft voice. "Water. Sky. Machine," she said, pointing to a drone on the table. "Good," Ravi said. Over the next few days, they built a strange kind of language together. Simple words, signs, and pictures. Tilla learned fast. She showed him small holograms from a device on her arm, scenes from her planet. He saw bright green fields, blue rivers, tall trees with glowing leaves. Strange animals walked peacefully. The sky was purple, and the stars danced in patterns. "That's your home?" he asked. She nodded, a soft look in her eyes. "Home, long, far." Her voice was sad. Ravi understood. She missed her world. They worked together to fix her ship, which still lay hidden behind the sand hill. Ravi used his tools and knowledge to repair the outer body. Tilla helped by connecting glowing wires and fixing energy cores using a strange liquid light. She knew her technology well. One evening, after hours of work, they sat beside the ship, watching the sunset. The desert turned orange and gold. Tilla leaned back on a rock, tired but calm. "You not afraid?" she said slowly, looking at him. Afraid? Of you? Ravi asked. She nodded. He thought for a moment. No, I was surprised, but not afraid. Why? She asked, tilting her head. You didn't hurt me. You needed help. That's enough. Tilla looked down, her fingers playing with the edge of her suit. Others. Run. Scream. Not you. Ravi gave a small laugh. I live alone in the middle of a desert. Not much left to be scared of. She smiled slightly. That night, the desert. Wind blew strong. The air turned cold. The workshop creaked under the force. Ravi lit a small heater and placed extra blankets on the bed. He checked the doors and windows to make sure everything was locked. As he turned around, he saw Tila sitting on the floor, hugging her knees. Her body was shaking slightly. She looked scared. Ravi walked over. It's okay, just wind. It happens. Sometimes. Tila didn't answer. Her eyes were wide. Ravi realized she must not be used to storms like this. He sat beside her. Nothing will happen. You're safe here. She looked at him, then slowly moved closer. Ravi didn't stop her. She leaned gently against him, her body still cold. Without thinking much, he pulled the blanket over both of them. Tilla didn't speak. She just rested her head on his shoulder. Ravi's heart beat faster. It was strange, yes. She wasn't human. She came from a different world. But in that moment, she felt more human than anyone he had ever met. She needed comfort. And so did he. For the next few hours they sat like that, listening to the wind outside. The world was cold and harsh, but inside the workshop, there was warmth. Thank you, she whispered. Ravi looked at her. For what? For not leaving. Nodded. I wouldn't do that. She closed her eyes, and soon she was asleep beside him. Ravi leaned his head back against the wall. He didn't understand everything about her, or why the stars had brought her here. But something inside told him this was just the beginning of a journey, one that neither of them could take alone. As he closed his eyes, he thought about the first time he saw her ship fall from the sky. Back then, he had no idea what was coming. But now, with Tella beside him, the stars didn't feel so far away anymore. The days passed slowly in the desert, but something was changing between Ravi and Tilla. They were no longer strangers. They worked together, talked more, and started to understand each other better each day. Tella's wounds were healing. Her voice was getting stronger. The language barrier was still there, but now it felt like a small hill, not a mountain. One quiet morning, Ravi sat by the table, eating dry toast and tea. Tila was fixing a broken power cell with her small glowing tool. The way she worked, calm, careful, and focused, reminded Ravi of his late father, who had once been a great repairman. You're good at that, Ravi said, sipping his tea. Tila looked up. You help me fix too, she replied slowly. They both smiled. That afternoon, Tilla brought out something new, a thin silver ring with tiny lights around it. She placed it on the table and touched one of the lights. A soft blue glow filled the room. What is that? Ravi asked, curious. Memory. Tool. Fix now, she said. She pointed to her head, then to the ring. Translate. Ravi's eyes widened. You mean we can talk better? Tilla nodded. She picked it up and placed it gently on her head. Then she handed a second ring smaller to Ravi. He looked at it, unsure. Are you sure it's safe? Tilla gave a short laugh. Safe, no pain. Ravi trusted her. He put the ring on his head. At first, nothing happened. But then, he felt a small warmth, like a gentle touch on his mind. Tilla blinked, then smiled. Can you hear me? She asked slowly, the words now clearer. Ravi stared. Yes, I can understand you better. It works, she said. Still slow, but we can speak more now. Ravi laughed with joy. This is amazing. That evening, with the help of the rings, They sat outside the workshop and had their first real conversation. "I'm from a planet called Myrea," Tilla explained. "We are explorers, not soldiers. My people search for life in the stars. We learn, not fight." Ravi nodded. "Then why did your ship crash here?" Tilla looked at the sky, her eyes filled with worry. "We were chased. My ship was damaged. I escaped. But others, my crew, were lost." "Chased by who?" Ravi asked. Now serious. Tila hesitated. "They are called the Jerak." "They are destroyers. They burn planets. Take what they want. No peace. No talk." Ravi's hands tightened into fists. "Are they coming here?" Tilla looked down. "Maybe. They follow signals. I turned mine off. But if they find Earth, they will come." Ravi sat in silence, his heart beating fast. Earth wasn't ready for something like this. Not again. They had only just started to rebuild after the last space war decades ago. Why were they chasing you? He asked. Tella's voice turned quiet. "Because I carry a message. A warning. I saw what they did to other planets. I tried to tell the next worlds, but they hunted me. I crashed here. You're home." Ravi stood up and paced slowly. "So, you came to save others, and now you're stuck?" Tila nodded. "Yes, I didn't want to run, but I had no choice." Ravi walked back and sat beside her. "You're not stuck anymore. We'll fix your ship. We'll figure this out. Together." Tilla looked at him, her eyes soft. "Why help me? I'm not human." Ravi smiled slightly. "You are more human than many people I've met. You care. You try to protect others. That's enough for me." Tilla blinked slowly, then gave a soft nod. She looked at his hand but didn't reach for it yet. The next day, they both returned to the crashed ship behind the sand hill. It was still hidden well, but the damage inside was worse than Ravi had thought. Tilla opened a small panel near the pilot's seat. Inside was a glowing crystal, cracked and leaking soft light. "This is the core, the ship's heart," she explained. "It powers the ship, the memory, the message, everything." "Can it be fixed?" Ravi asked. Tila shook her head. "Not with what we have here." Ravi thought for a moment. "What if we combine some Earth tech with yours?" Tilla looked at him, surprised. "It might work, but dangerous." "We don't have another choice," Ravi said. Over the next few days, they worked side by side. Ravi brought solar cells, metal parts, and old batteries. Tilla used her tools to merge her alien systems with Ravi's Earth technology. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes things exploded. One time, a small burst of energy blew Ravi backward into a pile of scrap. "Oh!" he shouted. Tila ran over, worried. "Are you hurt?" Ravi laughed, brushing dust off. "No, just my pride." Tilla helped him up. Their hands touched briefly. She didn't pull away. That night, as they sat inside the ship resting, Ravi looked at the stars again. "I always thought we were alone," he said. "But now I know better." Tila smiled. "You're not alone. Your world is strong. Your people, brave." "You think so?" Ravi asked. "Yes," she said. "You helped me when I had nothing. You didn't run, you stayed." Ravi looked at her. "I didn't want to run." They sat in silence for a while. Then Tilla leaned gently against him. "You remind me of my brother," she said softly. "Kind, quiet, strong." Ravi felt a lump in his throat. "Where is he?" "Gone. Taken. By Jerak." Ravi placed a hand over hers. "I'm sorry." Tilla nodded, holding back tears. "It's okay. I still have the stars. And you." The ship wasn't ready yet. The warning signal was still broken. But the bond between Ravi and Tilla had become strong. They were no longer just human and alien. They were friends, maybe something more. They had secrets to protect, enemies to face, and a message to send. But for now, in the quiet of the desert, under the same stars, they rested side by side. together. The desert wind blew gently over the hills as Ravi stood outside, wiping sweat from his forehead. It had been a long day of fixing the ship. The sun was starting to fall, painting the sky with orange and pink colors. Behind him, the soft hum of the alien ship glowed faintly. Inside, Tilla was resting. She had worked hard more than usual. The new system they built together had started to power up the core, and even the ship's lights were turning on again. Ravi walked up the sand hill to take a look around. It was something he did every evening, just to feel the wind and check for any signs of trouble. But today, something was different. He stopped. There, in the far sky, was a dot of red light. It didn't move like a star or a plane dot. It moved like it was searching. Ravi's heart sank. "Tilla," he whispered, then ran back down the hill. Tilla opened her eyes as Ravi rushed in. "We have a problem," he said quickly. "There's something in the sky. It's not human. It's looking for something." Tilla sat up fast, her expression full of fear. "Red light?" she asked. "Yes. You know what it is?" Tilla nodded. "Xerac Scout. They're here." Ravi felt cold inside. "How did they find us?" She pointed to the half-working beacon near the ship. "Signal weak, but maybe still seen, or maybe they followed Crash Trail. What do we do?" Ravi asked. Tilla stood, grabbing a small round device from her toolkit. "We run. Not fight, not yet. Only one ship now, but more come later." Ravi didn't argue. He knew she was right. If they stayed, they'd be caught. And if the Xerac took Tilla, Earth would never get the warning. Within minutes, Ravi packed his dessert bike with water, food, and parts. Tilla carried a few tools and her glowing device. Together, they rode away from the workshop, heading deep into the desert. Behind them, a dark shape began to appear in the sky. A black ship, shaped like a knife, cutting through the clouds. "Tilla." "It's following," Ravi said, his voice shaking. Tilla tapped her device. "I will try to block signal. You drive, fast." Ravi pushed the engine harder. The bike bounced over the sand, kicking up dust behind them. The wind roared in their ears. Above, the Xerac Scout circled like a hawk. They reached a rocky area, sharp stones, deep shadows, and narrow paths. Ravi slowed the bike and drove it between two tall rock walls. It was a place he had found years ago, where he sometimes hid old junk. He stopped the bike behind a large rock. "Here," he said, "we can hide." Tilla nodded, checking her device. "Signal gone now. They won't track fast." They slipped behind the rocks and waited. The sky darkened as the sun dipped below the horizon. For a long time, they stayed silent. Then a loud boom echoed in the distance. Ravi looked up. "They found the workshop." Tilla closed her eyes. "They burn it. They always burn." Ravi felt a deep sadness in his chest. That place was his home, full of memories. But now it was gone. "We'll get through this," he said softly. "We just need a plan." Inside the cave, they made a small fire using old parts and a heat stick. The warm light helped them feel less alone. Tilla sat close, holding her knees. She looked scared more than before. "They will come again," she whispered. "They always return in numbers." Ravi looked at her carefully. "How do we stop them?" She didn't answer at first. Then she spoke, slowly. "There is one way, a stronger beacon. It can call my people. But it needs power. More than what we have." "Where is it?" Ravi asked. "In my ship." "Deep core, hidden, locked until danger clear." Ravi nodded. "Then we fix the core. We call your people." Tilla looked at him, eyes wide. "It's risky. They might hear. The signal too, both sides." "I don't care," Ravi said. "We can't run forever." Suddenly, a sharp beep came from Tilla's wrist. She tapped it, and a small red light blinked. "They're scanning the area," she said. "Xerac drone is near." "We need to move again," Ravi said. But just then, A sound echoed through the rocks, a metallic whirring, like spinning blades. Ravi grabbed Tilla's hand. Come on. They ran through the cave's narrow path as the whirring grew louder. Behind them, a small Xerac drone appeared, dark, round, and full of blinking red eyes. Tila turned and threw a spark tool. It exploded in the air, hitting the drone's wing. The drone spun and crashed into the wall, broken. We don't have much time, she said. Ravi nodded. We head for the old Cums Tower. It has solar power. Maybe we can charge your core there. Tila looked surprised. That might work. Then let's go, Ravi said. By morning, they reached the tower. It was tall, rusty, and half broken, but still had working panels. Ravi had used it before to fix long-range signals. Tila unpacked the beacon piece from her bag and connected it to the power line. The device blinked slowly at first, then faster. It's working, she said. Suddenly, the air changed. The wind grew still. The sun dimmed slightly. Then a loud hum filled the air. Both of them turned and saw a new shape in the sky, larger than before. A full Xerac fighter ship. They found us, Tila said. Ravi's eyes narrowed. We send the signal. We don't. Stop now. He stood in front of the beacon, ready to protect it. Tila looked at him with something more than respect now. She saw hope. You're not like others, she whispered. You don't run. Not anymore, Ravi replied. The ground shook under Ravi's feet as the Xerac fighter ship hovered above the desert tower. Dust swirled in the air, and the loud humming from the enemy ship echoed across the rocks. The glowing weapons on its underside began to charge. Tila stared at the sky. Her people had heard the signal. But would they reach in time? The blue light in the sky was still distant. Too far. Ravi stood tall beside the beacon. His jaw was tight, his fists clenched. The Xerac were coming closer now. He had never fought in any war, never held a real weapon. But right now he wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about Tila, about Earth, about the home that was now gone. I'll protect it, Ravi said. Tila looked at him with wide eyes. You can't stop them alone. Maybe not, he answered, but I won't run. She stepped closer. You're not afraid? I am, he said quietly. But I'm more afraid of what happens if we do nothing. Tila opened her hand and gave him a small glowing disc. Press this when they land. It's a shield. Only 5 seconds. Ravi nodded. 5 seconds is better than none. The Xerac ship dropped something from its belly, a round pod that shot toward the ground like a falling star. Boom! It hit near the base of the tower, sending a shockwave across the ground. Ravi and Tila ducked behind a stone pillar. The pod opened. Out stepped 2 Xerac soldiers. They were tall, with silver armor and long claws on each arm. Their skin looked dark like burnt metal, and their red eyes glowed under their helmets. One of them pointed toward Tila. There, it said in a deep mechanical voice. Target found. Tila's heart raced. She grabbed Ravi's hand and whispered, Run now. But Ravi didn't move. No, we stay. We fight. He stepped forward and pressed the shield disc, just as a blast of red energy came from the Xerac's arm. A blue bubble surrounded them just in time. The energy blast hit the shield and bounced off, smashing into a rock behind them. Go! Tila shouted. The shield will break. Ravi rushed forward, dodging behind another rock. Tila followed, quickly throwing one of her flash bombs behind them. A blinding white light filled the air for a second, making the Xerac soldiers pause. Tila and Ravi used the moment to run toward the old generator building beside the tower. It was broken, dusty, but had strong walls. They slipped inside and locked. The old metal door behind them. Breathing hard, Ravi leaned against the wall. That won't hold them long. Tila looked at the sky. The blue light, her people, was closer now. Still not close enough. We have to wait, she said. Then, we hold this place. Ravi replied. Together. Minutes passed like hours. Outside, the Gerak soldiers searched through the ruins, scanning for heat and sound. Their voices were like sharp metal scraping together. Inside, Ravi looked around the room and found a steel pipe. It wasn't much, but it was something. Tella adjusted her device, setting a trap on the door. If they break in, she said, this will buy us more time. Ravi looked at her, really looked at her. Her face was tired. Her suit was scratched, yet her eyes still shone with courage. You didn't deserve this, he said softly. You came to help others, and now you're being hunted. Tilla turned to him. And you didn't deserve this either. You had a quiet life. Now you're in danger. They stood there in silence for a few seconds. Then Tilla stepped forward. She gently touched Ravi's arm. In my world, she said slowly, when someone risks their life for you, we call them Heartlight. Heartlight? Ravi repeated. She nodded. It means someone who gives you strength when your heart feels dark. Ravi looked into her glowing eyes. He didn't know what to say, so he just smiled and whispered, then you're my Heartlight too. The door shook. The Gerak had found them. Tella activated the trap. A soft beep began. The door exploded open, but at the same time, her trap went off. An electric pulse burst through the entrance, knocking the first Gerak down, but the second one stepped in quickly. Ravi rushed forward with the steel pipe, swinging hard. The pipe hit the soldier's arm, making sparks fly. The Gerak struck back, throwing Ravi into the wall. Ravi! Tilla screamed. She jumped on the Gerak's back and stabbed a small tool into the enemy's helmet. The soldier shouted and dropped to one knee. Ravi got up, blood at the corner of his mouth, but still standing. He grabbed the pipe again. This time he aimed for the leg. Crack! The Gerak fell. Together, Ravi and Tella dragged the soldier outside and locked the door again. They fell to the ground, breathing hard, shoulders touching. We did it, Ravi said. Tella looked at him. You fought like a protector. I was scared, he admitted. But you didn't stop, she replied. That's real strength. Outside, a new sound echoed soft, musical and powerful. A blue ship floated down from the sky. Its design was smooth, glowing with soft lines. It was nothing like the Gerak's cold machines. Tilla stood and smiled. My people are here. Ravi stood beside her, still catching his breath. The blue ship opened slowly. Two figures stepped out, their features like Tala's blue skin, glowing eyes, peaceful faces. They spoke in a language Ravi didn't understand. Tella answered them quickly. Then she turned to Ravi. They want to take us to safety. Ravi looked back at the broken desert, the tower, the dust, the ruins of his life. He looked at Tilla and he smiled. I'll go, he said, but only if you stay close. Tilla reached for his hand, always. That night, they flew above the earth, looking down at the sand, the stars, and the place where they first met. They didn't know what the future held. But one thing was certain. Their bond was no longer just between human and alien. It was a bond beyond worlds. The stars above Earth looked calm from the window of the alien ship. But Ravi couldn't stop thinking about what had happened down below. The fire, the battle, the Gerak soldiers, and the wreckage of his home. The desert had become silent again, but nothing felt the same. Inside the smooth blue halls of the Myrian ship, the air was cool and filled with soft sounds, gentle music, flowing water, and peaceful voices. But Ravi felt nervous. He stood close to Tilla, who was speaking with two other Myrians in their native tongue. He couldn't understand the words, but he could read their faces. They were serious, concerned. One of them, a tall male with golden markings, looked directly at Ravi. Tilla turned to Ravi and spoke in a soft tone. They want to erase your memory, Ravi blinked. What? They say it's for protection. She said, humans are not ready to know about our world. They fear you may tell others, or be hurt because of what you know. Ravi took a deep breath. And what do you think? Tilla looked down for a moment, then into his eyes. I told them no. I told them, you are not like others. You are Heartlight. You deserve to remember. Ravi gave a small smile, but inside, his chest felt tight. So, what happens now? They will speak with the ship's leader. There will be a vote, she said. A vote to decide if I'm allowed to remember you. Ravi asked. Tilla nodded. Her voice soft. Yes, hours passed. Ravi sat in a circular room, surrounded by curved glass walls. He was given water that tasted sweet and calming. He had never seen a place like this before. No sharp corners, no metal noise, just smooth surfaces and soft colors. But his heart wasn't calm. He wasn't ready to forget everything. He didn't want to lose the memories, the crash, the desert, nights, the ship repairs, her laugh, her tears, the cuddle under the cold sky. He didn't want any of it to disappear. Tilla returned, walking slowly, her face unreadable. Well? Ravi asked. They will let you choose, she said. Ravi stood up fast. Really? She nodded. Yes, but if you choose to keep your memory, there is risk. You will be watched. Others may still come for you. It won't be safe. I don't care, Ravi said. I want to remember. Tilla smiled, not wide, but full of emotion. Then your choice is made. Ravi stepped closer. And what about you? Will you stay with your people? Tilla looked away for a moment. They want me to, but my heart is not here. It's with you. The blue ship hovered above Earth, hidden from satellites and human eyes. Ravi stood beside Tilla as they watched the sun rise over the mountains. The sky turned from black to orange, painting the clouds with gold. Your world is beautiful, Tilla said. It's rough, but it has hope, Ravi answered. A small device blinked on her wrist. We have little time. The Xerac ship we fought sent a message. More are coming. How many? Ravi asked. Tilla looked at him seriously. Too many. Ravi stayed quiet for a moment. Then he asked, Is Earth in danger? Tilla nodded. Yes, the Xerac take resources. They destroy life. They don't care who stands in the way. Ravi clenched his fists. Then we warn Earth, we don't hide. You think your leaders will listen? Tilla asked gently. Ravi sighed. I don't know, but I'll try. We have to try. Tilla looked down. They also said, if Earth is in danger, they may evacuate me. They don't want to risk losing more Marians. And what do you want? Ravi asked quietly. She stepped closer, looking into his eyes. I want to fight beside you. Back on the ground, in a quiet military research base near the mountains, Ravi stood before Earth's Defense Council. With help from the Marians, he had been given a chance to speak only a few minutes to convince them of the truth. They're real, he said clearly. Aliens exist. Some are peaceful, some are not. And the ones coming here next Xerac, they will not ask questions. They will destroy first. The officers in front of him whispered among themselves. One of them, a general with tired eyes, stood. Why should we believe you? Ravi pulled out a silver device and pressed a button. A hologram of the Xerac attack appeared. Flames, soldiers, energy blasts. This was real, he said. It happened 2 days ago, and that was only a scout. Another officer asked, And who helped you fight them? Ravi looked toward the door. Tilla stepped inside. Gasps filled the room. Tilla didn't speak at first. She simply bowed her head. Then she said in slow, clear English, We came to help. Not rule. We asked to stand beside you. Not above. The room was silent. Finally, the general said, Then teach us. Prepare us. Ravi and Tilla looked at each other. The first step was taken. That night, Ravi sat under the open sky. The stars above him looked the same as always, but everything else had changed. Earth was not alone. And now, they were getting ready not just for battle, but for something bigger. Beside him, Tilla sat quietly. "Are you okay?" Ravi asked. She nodded. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About what happens after this." He looked at her. "After the Xerac?" She nodded again. "I don't know," he said. "But whatever happens, I want you there." Tilla leaned closer, resting her head gently on his shoulder. The cool night wind brushed over them. She whispered, "I never thought I would feel safe." "On another world," Ravi smiled. "You're not the only one. I never thought I'd feel this close to someone who wasn't even from Earth." She wrapped one arm around his, holding it softly. "No matter what happens," she whispered. "This ... I don't want it to end." Ravi closed his eyes. The stars above blinked quietly. Neither of them moved. They were two lives from different skies brought together by chance, danger, and something stronger than fear. And as the wind passed through the quiet desert night once again, Ravi realized that this was no longer just about saving the world, that it was about saving each other. The sky was still dark when Ravi and Tilla stood on the ridge overlooking the city. The first light of dawn was just beginning to touch the buildings with soft pink and gold. The air was cool and fresh after a night of quiet. Behind them, the blue Marian ship waited, hidden beneath a low cloud. It was time. The war was coming, but so was hope. Ravi looked at Tilla, her silver hair shining softly in the morning light. She looked calm, but he knew her heart beat fast. They had prepared as much as they could, but the future was uncertain. "We don't have much time," Tilla said softly. "The Xerac will arrive by noon." Ravi nodded. "We'll be ready." Together, inside the city, Earth's defenses were waking up. Soldiers trained with new weapons that the Marians had helped build. Scientists worked on shields and scanners that could detect the smallest movement. For the first time in years, humans and aliens stood side by side, united. Ravi and Tilla returned to the command center. The general who had once doubted them was now leading the preparations. "We have your back," the general said firmly. Ravi felt a swell of pride. The small mechanic from the desert was now part of something bigger, something that could save the world. As the sun climbed higher, the sky darkened. Far away, a shadow appeared, an enormous fleet of Xerac ships, like a black storm on the horizon. "Here they come," Tilla whispered. Ravi took her hand. "We've come too far to be afraid now." The ships descended, weapons glowing red, engines roaring like thunder, but Earth's defenses stood strong. Energy shields rose like walls of light. The soldiers fired back with weapons, powered by Myrian technology. The battle began. Ravi was at the front line, running through the chaos with a small team. His heart pounded, but he moved fast. He had never fought like this before, but now every step mattered. Tilla fought beside him. Her alien tools glowed, sending pulses of energy that stopped enemy machines and healed wounded soldiers. Together, they moved like a single force, human and alien, fighting for the same home. At one moment, a huge Xerac warrior charged at Ravi. The soldier was fast and strong, but Ravi dodged. Grabbing a fallen piece of metal, with a quick strike, he knocked the warrior down. Tilla rushed over, using her device to bind the enemy's arms with glowing light. "Good work," she said, breathless. Ravi smiled. "Couldn't have done it without you." The battle raged on, lasting hours. The Xerac fought hard, but Earth and its new allies were stronger than expected. Slowly, the enemy ships began to fall, one by one. From the command center, the general announced, "We are pushing them back." Ravi and Tilla watched the sky as the last of the Xerac fleet turned and fled. The war was not over, but today was a victory. That night, under the stars, Ravi and Tilla sat outside the Myrian ship. The desert was quiet again, but this time there was peace. Tilla looked at Ravi and said softly, "You were brave today." Ravi looked at her. "So were you." "I never thought I could fight like that." She smiled. You fought to protect. That is true courage. They sat close, hands still touching. I never wanted this to end, Ravi said quietly. Tila nodded. Neither did I. Days passed. The Earth and Marians began to work together to rebuild and prepare for the future. New friendships formed. New hopes grew. Ravi and Tila stayed by each other's side, their bond stronger than ever. One evening, as the sun set in colors of orange and purple, Ravi looked at Tila and asked, "Will you stay on Earth?" Tila smiled warmly. "I will. Because home is not only a place, it is where the heart is." Ravi took her hand and held it tightly. Together, they looked up at the stars, knowing that the galaxy was wide and full of unknowns, but no longer scary, because wherever they were, together they were home.